Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. My name is Debbie, if you're new, and if you're returning, thank you so much. We love having you come along with us. Today we are going to be taking care of some of our produce that we have brought in from the garden. On our last video, I was telling you we had to bring in all of our peaches and apricots and apriums because the birds were just having a heyday with them. So in order to save them, we had to bring them in a little bit early, and they've been sitting here on the counter just ripening up. So they are ready to go. And as you can see, they're a little bit smaller than your normal size peach, but our tree is still a baby. It's only 2-3 years old. So they don't really start producing until, 5 years old. It's still getting its root system and stuff intact, and still trying to do all of that. So we're happy with anything that we get. But I don't want to give it all to the birds. We left some out there, some that they had just taken one hit out of, and we left those on the tree, and some that weren't quite ripe, we left those out there too. So we do share, but if we leave them out there, they'll take it all. So I also bought 4 peaches from the grocery store because I need 4 cups of peaches in order to make my jam recipe from the bulk canning book. So I bought 4 more just to be on the safe side because I don't want to be short. If I don't need them, I won't use them in the recipe because I'd rather have just all of my fresh homemade stuff. We also have our apricots and our apriums. I'm not sure if I'm going to do separate. It also depends on if I can get 4 cups out of the apriums, if I do them separately, or if I do a apricot aprium jam. So we'll have to play that by ear when I go to dice them up and get them measured out. The first thing that we have to do is, first, I'm trying a new camera right now, so if you can let me know if the quality is better and the volume and all those things that I've been told a few things that are affecting the quality of my videos. So I want to give you guys the best quality possible. So let me know in the comments if you're getting better quality. I was using my iPhone, so I'd love to know if this is better. And the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to distill our jars. I bought a brand new box of half-pint ball jars, and I'm going to get those in the dishwasher and do a full wash on those. The first time I buy jars, I like doing a full wash because just to sanitize them completely in the dishwasher, because that gets nice and hot and it will kill the bacteria more so than if I'm just hand washing with soap and water. You will have to bear with me. Right now I am getting used to this camera and all of that. I just got done putting all of my jars into my dishwasher right here. I just put all of them in there so that they can all get a good wash. And then I put the bands in a kettle, and I put my lids in another kettle. So we're going to get water on those, and they'll be ready to go. I've got my dishwasher ready to go. We're going to get that started. And while that's going, I am going to start getting everything ready on the stove to be able to get the peaches going. So while these are running, I can, there we go. I can start getting the water boiling for the peaches. Then we're going to put the peaches in the boiling water. We're going to take off the skins. Actually, after we get them in the boiling water, we're going to leave them in there for a couple seconds. Then we're going to put them in an ice cold water bath to stop the boiling process. Let them cool off just a little bit. Then we're going to take those skins off. Then we're going to get them diced up very finely, and we'll be doing all that together. The dishes are going in the dishwasher. I've started some water in my canner. I'm going to be getting that on the stove as soon as we're done doing these peaches. I've got some ice right here that I'm going to put into this container We're going to get the rest of this put back in the freezer so that it's ready for when we do the apricots. I'm going to step over to the fridge for a second and put some ice water in here, or some water in here for the ice. We want to make sure that that water is nice and cold. Sometimes if you live where there's a well or whatever, you get cold water out of your tap. We do not, so I always have to put ice in my water to cool it down enough. Now we're going to take our peaches and we're going to place them in the water. You want to be very careful so that you're not splashing. You don't want that water splashing up on you. You don't want to put too many in at a time. And then we're going to leave this in here for 1 to 2 seconds. You're going to be watching for the peels to start coming away from the fruit. And I'll show you what that looks like. It might take a little bit longer with the ones that I got from the store than the ones that we got from the tree. And I'm also not cutting off any of the bad spots until after we put these in the ice bath and I'm getting ready to dice them up, because I don't want to have that flesh leaching out into this water. Get a nice facial steam bath here. Okay, as you can see, this piece of fruit right here, that flesh is starting to come up off of the fruit, and once it's cool, it'll peel right off. So for now, I'm going to put it in the ice bath so it can stop cooking. We don't want to cook our fruit. Here's another good example right here. This is one of the ones that I got from the store. You can see where it's cracked right there, and it's starting to pull away from the fruit itself right here, where it's cracked. Okay, we've got the peaches all ready to go. So now we're going to start taking those skins off, and you literally just have to rub on them, and this stuff will just come right off. And then I'm going to be putting those in the compost because there's a lot of nutritional value in your skins. I've got the canner on the stove getting ready to go. It's starting to heat up because I need everything hot. If you're putting hot things into your jars, your water that you have in your canner needs to be hot. If you're starting with things that are cool, then you would want to start your canner at a cool temperature. You always want everything at about the same temperature. We have now got the peaches all peeled and ready to be diced up. I've got my canner on medium-high right now just so that it's heating up. When I'm done with this and we're actually ready to start putting it into the jars, then I'll turn it up to boiling. Here is that ball preserving book that I was talking about, and there's different things. You need to make sure that you're watching your recipes, because on this one, this is jams with liquid pectin, and then they have the powdered pectin. I'm going to be using the powdered pectin, so I need to look for the one that says, okay, quick cook jams with powdered fruit pectin. And I want to do peach, so I need 4 cups of finely chopped, pitted, peeled peaches, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, 6 tablespoons of the ball plastic fruit pectin. I have jell, and that's what I'll be using. It tells the amount. 1 package, 1.75 ounces / 57 grams, original pectin. And then we're going to need 5 cups of granulated sugar. So our next step is getting these pitted and finely chopped, and then we will go from there. And it says right here, for each of the following jams, follow the method for quick cook jam opposite, but use the quantity of fruit and other ingredients specified in the variation. It took a while to get these peaches all diced up. We ended up with just a little over 4 cups. I feel if I took the juice out of here, it would definitely just be 4 cups. These peaches were very juicy. So when I was trying to get the fruit off the pit, it wasn't the easiest thing to do. But I got them diced up finally. And now I'm going to put them in this pot. So that's 4 cups of peaches diced finely into the pot. We're going to turn that on, and then we need to add our pectin. This is 1.75, just like it says in the book. We are going to add that until it is dissolved, which won't take very long with all of this juice in here. Okay, that pectin is dissolved, and then I pre-measured out our sugar, which we needed 5 cups of granulated sugar, and it says to pour it all in at one time. And then we're going to start stirring this. And we have to bring it to a rolling boil. So a rolling boil is a boil that when you're stirring, it doesn't stop boiling. It just keeps boiling. And then at that point, you need to keep it going for a minute. I'm thinking with all of the juice that I've got in this fruit, that I'm probably going to have to let mine go for a little bit longer, because I wanted a thicker consistency. And right now it is, I'll bring this over, it's a little bit liquidy. Okay, so we want it a little bit thicker, which the pectin is also going to help with that. So once this comes to a rolling boil, we will come back. I had to reread my recipe. Once you add that pectin, you need to bring it to a boil. And you also need to add the 4 tablespoons of lemon juice. And then once you have it at a boil with the pectin and the lemon juice, then you add all of your sugar all at once. And then you have to bring it back to a rolling boil. And once it's at a rolling boil, then it's going to be ready for putting in the jars, after it is at the consistency that you want it. But you have to keep it at a rolling boil for at least a minute. Okay. Our jam is starting to boil. And you're going to start seeing foam building up on the top of the top surface. We are now coming to a harder boil, but you can tell when I start to stir, I lose the boil. We're getting more skim up on the top, which is absolutely normal. But we're going to keep stirring, because you do not want to walk away from this at this point, because it will scorch on the bottom of your pan. I'm going to give this about 30 more seconds, and then we are going to start a minute timer, because it is now, as you can tell, coming to a rolling boil where I'm stirring it and the boil is not going away. It is still rapidly boiling. So we'll set our timer for 1 minute, and once that minute is up, we can take it off the heat, and at that point we are going to have to skim this excess foam off the top of the jam, and then we will do the plate test and see if this is the consistency that we want it. You want to be careful, because when you got stuff at a rolling boil, it tends to want to shoot up at you, and you don't want to get burned. So you need to be very careful. And you want to have your stuff in a pan that is high enough to where it's not going to pop out of the pan at you. Okay, that was a minute. And as you can see, I still have a lot of juice in here. But we're going to see. It said to do it for a minute. We're going to pull it off the heat. I'm still going to continue stirring it for a little bit, just to get that boil down. I'll shut the heat off for a minute. And then I've got a bowl over here. You see all that foam on the top of that jam? We are going to skim that off. So you just kind of go over the top. You're going to get some fruit in there. There's no way that you can avoid that. But just try to go on the very top as much as possible so you're not getting your fruit. Because you don't want that foam in your jars. And while I'm doing the rest of that, I'm going to take a little bit of this and I'm going to put it on this plate, and I'm going to stick it in the freezer. And that's going to tell us what kind of consistency we have with our jam right now. Did the plate test for only a minute, and you're actually supposed to do it for 5 minutes. So we are going to do it for another 4 minutes. But I feel like my jam is still really runny. I think while I'm waiting for that 4 minutes, I'm just going to pop it back on here for a minute, because it just seems very runny to me. Just came back after another 5 minutes and I tested it, and you can see how it's running back again, still on the plate. So I am going to go for another 2 minutes and then do the test again. It's not doing it too badly. It's not like just running right back together. But I want it a little bit firmer. Yeah, it's still, I think 2 more minutes will do good. timer has gone off for our jars. They're ready to be taken out of the canner. Let me find my, oh, there it is. Okay. I always like having a towel underneath of me. Do your best not to want to try to tip this over. Just leave that water on the top of that lid. It will evaporate off. It's not going to hurt anything. Whew. Yeah, I gotta watch where I'm walking. Because what you could do is hurt the seal if you try tipping that water off of your jars. These jars and lids are very hot, so that water will evaporate off. Once the seals have set, then if you want to wipe them off, you can, but it's even best just to wait until the jars are cooled off before you try to wipe them off. Oh my goodness, you guys, these jars are just absolutely beautiful. Look at that color. Look at that. One thing I didn't do that you can do is put vinegar in this water, and that way any hard water that would turn your jars, your lids, or your pot white will keep from doing that. So we're going to let these sit and set, but in the meantime I had a little bit of leftover, and look at that. Look at how well that's set up. So this is going to be beautiful coming out of that jar, and we even tried it on a little bit of toast, and it is just absolutely wonderful. So on to the next project. I've got everything cleaned up, and I'm going to get started on those apricots. Okay, we have added that extra sugar, and now we're just waiting for it to come back up to another rapid boil. But look at this. I mean, look at that. Isn't it beautiful? This is going to be a gorgeous jar. So it's starting to boil right now. So we're going to continuously stir. And then once it gets to that rapid boil, where it starts popping everywhere, we will set the timer for a minute. And I think this is going to set up beautifully. It looks like it's already setting up a little bit. It looks thicker than the peach jam did, so I don't think I'm going to have to worry about cooking it down at all. I think I'll be able to keep it at that minute, but we're still going to have to skim off the foam off the top once we're done with that minute. We're just about there, and we've got our water going for the canner. We took the jars out, they're steaming, they're ready to go. Okay, so here you can tell I'm stirring, and the boil is not going away. So I'm going to set my timer for a minute, and we're going to keep stirring this so that we don't get any scorching, because we don't want to ruin this beautiful color that we got going on here. Well, and if you quit stirring at all, this stuff will just pop right out of the pan. You have to stir it rapidly in order to just keep it from getting out of control. I think this is going to be a really good jelly, especially if you like a little bit of heat, because that turmeric and ginger in here with that lime and lemon, it just smells so good. It's got a wonderful smell. I can imagine it's going to have a great flavor. I'm thinking the flavor is going to be like earthy. All right, our apricot jalapeno jelly is going into the jars. Oh, you guys, this is just beautiful jam. We did the plate test and it's set up on the plate, so hopefully we get a good set. I always get nervous just because of the one time that I didn't get it and I ended up with syrup. It's really important that you do that test and don't skip that part, because that ensures that you'll get a good setup jam. Because sometimes you just have more juice in your fruit than somebody else might have. No two fruits are alike. And this was supposed to make 7 half pints. It'll be close to that. I think we're right on the money with that one. I'm going to finish ladling these up and get them in the canner for 10 minutes once it starts boiling. And that happened again. We said that we were supposed to have 7. We ended up with 8. We got 2 more to put in here. Okay, they've got 1 inch of water over the top. It is boiling already, so we are going to set this timer for 10 minutes, and then we will wait another 5 minutes after we shut it off, like we did the last time, before we take them out. We've been working on the apricots, as they are much easier because of the pit. It takes a lot more time because of how small they are, but we decided that we're going to do regular apricot jam, and then we're also going to try a jalapeno apricot jam. So Tom's been working on all of that while I've been chopping the apricots. You need 6 cups of chopped apricots, turmeric, ginger. I'll put all of the measurements in the description. But you need turmeric, ginger, 1 lime, the zest of a lime, your jell. You're going to end up needing 4.5 cups of sugar. I don't want to miss anything here. 3 jalapeno peppers, thinly sliced, seeds and all.
We had 3 cayennes.
And then Tom added 3 cayennes. And you can also do 1 tablespoon of butter, but we thought that was weird, so we're not going to do the butter. So right now it calls for bringing this stuff up to a boil, and then once it comes up to a boil, then you add in the rest of your sugar, and then we go from there. And right now my dishwasher has dishes in it. So I am putting my jars in the canner, and we're going to sterilize them that way. Getting ready to take out our jars. We are not going to tip them. We're just going to set them over here gently. All of our peach ones that we did earlier, all set. They all sealed. I feel like they're sealing before they even get out of the pot, because I haven't even heard 1 pop. Oh my gosh, you guys, look at this jar. It's just beautiful. I used to be a jar tipper, so it's very hard for me to leave that water sitting on top of that jar. I keep wanting to tip it, but I'm not going to. The other thing you always want to make sure you do is not set your jars down on just a counter. You always want to have a towel as a buffer, because if your counter is cold and you're setting those jars down on a cold counter without that towel, your jar may crack because of the difference in temperature. So there we go. Some beautiful jars to put up in our pantry. I still have to do a whole nother batch of the apricots and abriums. And we also need to do the work on those, the cardinal is in the backyard. Oh, I wish I could turn this camera. We also need to do the work on those green apples that we took off the tree. But we'll be saving that for another video. Thank you guys so much for coming along with us today, and I hope we gave you some ideas on what you can do with your produce when it's coming in the garden. And if you like this video, the best way you can help us here on this channel is to hit subscribe, and hope to see you on the next video. Take care and have a great night. Doesn't that look beautiful? It's got such a pretty color. I'm really excited to do the apricots because they seem like they're going to be so much easier, because you don't have to peel your apricots like you have to peel the skin off of your peaches. I am going to stir this constantly though, because I don't want it to get scorched on the bottom of the pan.